what's up, guys? Welcome to episode 1 of season 3 already. We have a returning guest from season 1, if you remember. The one and only Jay Hardway.
What's up?
What's up? What's up? How's life?
Life's good, man. Life's busy. Different from 3 years ago.
Yeah, very different.
We're rid of that disease thing,
That
the
weird,
pandemic.
weird virus.
Yeah, life's been good. A lot of changes. For me, I don't know how about you.
I mean, I think it's same old, same old. Probably not the changes you have had in life.
I've had a lot of changes. Yeah, so I'm a dad now, so people are listening. I have a daughter. It's 1.5. So
He has responsibilities now.
yeah, it's a whole different life. So less time for yourself. You got to juggle your career and your relationships, and it's the weirdest thing is you got to plan your free time or your time for hobbies or for making music, which before would be like I go to the studio at 3 a.m. Doesn't matter, don't have anything in the morning, and now it's like I have to work from 9 to 5 basically, and then pick my kid up from daycare or so yeah, big difference.
Crazy. How does it feel like touring, like being away from home?
This sounds weird, but it's actually really like I get way more rest on tour than I do at home. So, for example, I was in Vietnam. I had a show there, and I would fly there, which takes like 12 hours or something like that, like 15 hours, something like that, which normally would be like pretty like, yeah, that's long. But now I'm like, oh, I can sit in a plane and I
chill, relax.
I have a little wine, I watch a movie, and then I arrive and I have some time to relax in the hotel. And then I did the show, and then after the show I had like food, and then I could sleep like all day because my flight back was the day after in the evening. So to me that's like, wow, I have so much time to just relax.
Crazy that touring now is chill time.
It is. Because with a kid, you don't have that long of a period where you're like, I can sleep now until nothing, you know. So that's what touring feels like now. And I think also after COVID, I already realized that before, but now way more like how special touring is, and that you're getting paid to DJ. Yeah. So every time I'm so. Like also when the show is a bit smaller or the production isn't like super on point, I'm still very much like, this is amazing. I get paid to DJ, and
it's wild. It's like, even like I think we have all done like the shows where it's like I don't know, it's like a bit shabby all, and it's like a weird venue, and it's all like a complete mess. But those are like the fun ones. Yeah. Where it's just like all crazy and like chaos. Yeah. Like especially like Asia, like.
Yeah, it's like just the production can differ so much from like how the stage is set up, or there's only 2 CD players, but like before I would get not angry, but I would be like annoyed, and then my tour manager would try to fix everything, and now I travel alone more, and I just kind of roll with it, and I'm like, okay, this is a new challenge, and you know, so it's way more being grateful, I guess, for the life we have.
Fortunate life. Yeah. I mean, we've both of us like. I mean, the name P60 has come up in this podcast multiple times. I'm not sure if we talked about this last time.
Something happened there, man. Something with me happened there. Something with me happened there, but I think in general, something happened there that now the universe decided that's where something starts. Yeah. Martin Garrix started there, Mike Williams, Mesto, you, me. So it's like huge.
That was like literally, was that the part? Because I remember I booked you for some kind of event there as well. Yeah. I think that was like a big flop. It didn't really work out that well.
No, man, I sold out. We sold out. JR, he's coming.
I think like literally the lineup was, which would be kind of crazy now, was Quintino, Martin Garrix, you, me, and like a bunch of other people,
Yeah.
which now would be like $1 million lineups.
Yeah.
And like literally, I think only Quintino was the only one making real money, and all of us, we all got like 50 euros.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And the beer.
Yeah. I got my travel expenses. Like, you get money for the gas. Yeah. See my tweet here, by the way. That's also a bit. Man, I miss. That's a tweet I sent in March last year.
Agree.
Man, I sometimes miss the old EDM days. This is part of that, I think.
Yeah.
Just a bunch of
100%.
like kids who had no idea, just wanted to make music and DJ. That's what I sometimes miss. It's a lot of things are very corporate now, man.
True. I miss it a lot, actually. But also just the music as well.
Yeah.
I keep saying this, the emotional, crying to dance music days, instead of it all being like, I don't know, which is also sick, but the whole like ravey, underground, dark, warehouse kind of vibe, that's kind of like the thing now.
Yeah.
Which is very,
And then
very
you hear
hyped.
only that everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I think that is a bit like mostly due to like social media, maybe, that it's like you have a trend and then everybody's jumping on that trend way faster than before, so kind of things evolve less. True. Because the next trend is going to be like something else, progressive house, and then people don't care about techno anymore.
No.
Yeah, it's weird how fast that goes.
This is history.
This is I see on this photo a lot of pixels.
I mean, this is 2000. I think this is like my bedroom studio, probably.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, I still
Is
have
a
this
guitar there. Is that a guitar? Really hard to tell. This back then, I think, probably was a very well-liked post.
Yeah.
You know, like it's now all the posts are so beautiful.
True.
And this was engagement. People didn't care, you know. It's like, hey, two guys in the studio, amazing. And then you look at this photo now, you're like,
what are these guys doing?
Yeah, it's like AI generated almost. Like
well, this is a legendary spot here. Legendary music's been made here.
Yeah, true.
Actually, where Bouncy Bob was made.
Yeah, amazing.
What a life.
And that IKEA chair everybody had. I think that's the one. Everybody had that chair at some point in their. Everybody who makes music at some point in their career had that IKEA, that exact
KRK
IKEA chair.
speakers and this chair.
Yeah, 100%. And worked on FL Studio at some point in their career.
Yeah, even I
Ableton
did.
guys. You work in Ableton or
Logic?
But even you, like, and a lot of people are gonna probably deny everybody who worked in and who was working now in Ableton and Logic. Everybody worked in Fruity Loops, FL Studio at some point.
I will not lie. I do go into FL sometimes to mess around.
I'm proud.
This is the discussion I always have with you and Martijn about FL Studio. And every time, like, I'm working on a song and Martijn is like, let me try a melody or whatever. Bro, this piano roll sucks.
Yeah. Oh, you mean in FL Studio?
In Logic.
Oh,
in
Logic.
Logic.
Yeah. In Logic. And I think the piano roll in FL Studio is one of the reasons I haven't really ventured out and tried something else, because I would like to see how Ableton, the workflow is, but because my workflow is like 80% piano roll, I can't switch to that piano roll of Ableton. Logic I haven't tried, but
yeah, it's like slow. It's like not as quick as FL, which I kind of like.
Yeah,
but I don't know, it's just whatever you're used to.
Probably,
I guess. Yeah. I was the fanboy. I was like I was like a Hardwell fanboy back in the days. I'll admit. I was like, he's in Logic. Well, then I have to work in Logic. Convinced my grandparents to get me a stupid, expensive iMac.
Well, I hope you paid them back. You know, like probably.
I did.
Yeah, I mean, I think I had no clue how people make music, and then. You know the program EJ? I don't know if you know this.
No.
It was like a real like a game, and you had like pre-programmed blocks of melodies and chords, and they always fit together, but you could change the arrangement. And I was like 12 or something when we played this with me and my friends, and I was like, wow, this must be how Tiesto makes his music. And my friends are like, no. I'm like, yeah, I'm sure that Tiesto makes his music this way. And it wasn't until I was 14 or 15 that I found out about FL Studio. And then I realized, hey, Afrojack does work in this.
Yeah.
And then Avicii came, and you saw, and it was still like kind of like, oh, FL Studio, you know, it's more of like a video game.
True. It still looks terrible.
Yeah, I'm very much used to it, but it's I guess you said it perfectly. It's what you're used to, and in the end, what's in your head matters. If you have a good idea, you will, you know, if you can use EJ to make that idea, it doesn't matter at all. So
I mean, Afrojack, I remember he used to do like a lot of like live stream of like videos in the studio.
Yeah.
Working in like FL Studio, that was also like so inspiring.
Yeah, it was like, wow. So it can also a bit like it can be done, you know, because you download a program and you think, now I can make good music, and this goes for all major, like you download it, but then you still can't do anything. It sounds horrible, but then you see someone who does it, and then you're like, oh, so it is possible.
Yeah, I mean, probably for me it took like a month before I got like one sound out of like Logic or FL Studio. But nowadays it's crazy, like how quick, because like we had to figure everything out.
Yeah.
Like there was YouTube. We're not that old,
No.
but
We're
still,
all not that old. Yeah.
still like there wasn't like as much information online
No.
as there is now.
No, and samples. Like now you just have the best samples. If you look for a good kick, I remember it was like a challenge finding a good kick. And then when I worked with you guys, for example, like Martijn, or, oh, I have this kick, and then can you send it to me? It was like the one kick going around in like friend groups. Yeah, Nicky Romero also used this. And then you had to know people who knew people that had good kicks.
Yeah.
And now it's like you can find literally Nicky Romero's kicks, probably Hardway kicks.
Yeah,
you can just
everywhere.
find them, and there's also now like tools to extract kicks, so it's like it's getting easier and easier.
Yeah, but even also with like music, when you were like DJing, like now still IDs are still a thing, and like, you know, just on 1001 track lists, finding songs and whatever. But then it was like when someone had this song that everyone was playing, you were like trying to get your hands on it, and it was like getting gold. Literally, it was like
that one track.
That one track you
true.
needed for your sets.
Yeah.
And now maybe when you listen back to it, you're like, oh, really? Was I that hyped?
About but I think there were way less good tracks. Maybe.
True.
And then there was this one, like Animals was one of those big tracks, and before that, tracks by Quintino, and you knew, whoa, this is so big, and it sounds different from anything else.
Yeah.
And then you were searching for weeks. And
I remember what's the Quintino song, the Raptas Armas, the para pa pa pa.
Yeah.
That one was like, he was playing that, and like such a hype. Like I was like, oh, I need to get this song because I want to play this out live.
Yeah.
And it was like literally like you got like a new iPhone when you
finally had it.
got your song, got that song.
Yeah, or good mashups were also very much. You needed to know the right people. Yeah. And now, I mean, mashups now is like you can extract vocals from any song using AI. It's easier than ever now. It's just.
But still, I feel like that mashup kind of thing is kind of coming back again. The hype of mashups, also just because music is like so broad now. Yeah. Like you literally, that was maybe a bit less back in the days. Like mashing up a dance song with like pop stuff. Yeah. Didn't happen as much as now.
No, you needed. There were some DJs who were really good at it. Yeah. Like, I know Bassjackers always had the best mashups. And then the funny thing was when you played with them at the same festival, I once got really... this was in Brazil. I was with Marlon. And we were partying before, and then I played before him. I play a mashup that was apparently his mashup, but remade by someone. So I didn't know it was his mashup. And he comes running up to the stage and he's like angrily at me, dude, that's my mashup. It was like super angry. So I was like, oh, I was like almost terrified, like shit, because that was not done. You wouldn't play anyone else's mashups or songs. There was way more. I feel kind of an etiquette in like DJing and like, oh, you're not the headliner, so you kind of warm up, and now you arrive at a festival at 1 in the afternoon, and there's like 150 BPM techno coming out. But that's the difference I noticed as well. There's no real build-ups in festivals anymore, unless like there's good programming and there's different styles of artists. But if you if you only have mainstream DJs, it's going to be bangers.
For which
12 hours.
I get that everyone wants to do like their thing and like play their music, but in the end, I also feel like you're part of like an evening and like an experience for people.
Yeah.
So you all have to kind of like contribute to making the entire night as a whole like a good night, instead of just coming there and thinking, I have my 1 hour, so I do whatever, and then the next DJ can, I don't know, I don't care about what he does, so have fun. I had my hour,
but
have fun.
You know that because you also have warmed up a lot for Martin Garrix. I have as well. And that's also, if you do it right, it's very satisfying.
So satisfying.
And it's like you don't feel the pressure of the crowd yet because they're kind of waiting. And then you catch them off guard a little bit by... you have like hits, but they're not the like top 10 hits, They're the top 20 hits, for example. Yeah. And you kind of know what the Martijn then plays, so you can hype them up a little bit and then you take it back. It's so much fun.
Yeah, and especially like when sometimes I've done shows where everyone's like, who is this dude? Like, we're all waiting for the next DJ to come on, and then being able to still like kind of get them into like a vibe and get them moving. Yeah,
it goes from who is this dude to who is this dude? Like, and then they search you up and like, whoa, are you open for? And I saw your set. And but I mean, that was on Twitter, that kind of interactions. Twitter is kind of useless now. Like EDM Twitter feels kind of dead.
X
like,
now.
X. But I feel like now it's just John Summit and that's about it. That's EDM Twitter. I don't see a lot of Twitter community, which was always...
I don't really use it, to be honest. No. Sometimes just when I have a random thought, I just put it on there and...
It used to be more of a community, but I feel that a little bit with the whole dance scene as well. It still feels quite small, and a lot of people know each other, but it makes sense. There's a lot more business involved, so people are way more on their own little island. And now I have a kid. I know exactly how that can make that happen because I'm just focused on my family,
of course.
And that's what everything's about for me. So
getting old.
That's called getting old. Exactly. It's fun though.
Yeah, does that like having like being more focused on your family, does it make you feel like you care less about like what happens around you and like in the industry and whatever? Yeah,
like the things you don't have any control over, that you care way less about. So I still care a lot about music and making music, but if people don't like my music or labels don't like it, I really don't care. But that's also a bit of experience from doing this for more than 10 years. But it's like I know what's important. So, and that's, I think that the nice thing about, one of the nice things about having a kid is you don't have to think about what's important. You just know. So a lot of like bullshit. I don't know if I can say that on this.
Of course.
Is it explicit? A lot of bullshit you don't have to filter out because you just goes by you. You're just like, I don't care about that. Or so a promoter doesn't book you, or you're like, okay, I'm doing my own thing, and that's really like, in a way, very relaxing. So you really focus on, hey, this is what I find important, and what other people find important, I don't care. But that does feel sometimes like I'm a bit detached from what's going on, and like. But then again, I do feel that's good because then I do my own thing in the studio, and then you hope that.
Yeah, that's kind of what I've been like. I don't know. So I think everyone has that, but like when you're like really comparing yourself to like other guys, and why is this DJ getting these shows and I'm not getting the shows, or why is this song doing so well and the song that I did isn't doing that well, or whatever. You can keep going on with that in like an endless circle.
Yeah.
But it must be very relaxing to be able to let go of that a little bit more.
Easier, because you still do compare sometimes, and sometimes you see other DJs and you're like, hey, why am I not booked for that show? Yeah. I played it 6 years ago, and why don't... That was good, I got good feedback. But there you go, then you're off in this like this rabbit hole of why not, instead of like, hey, I focus on the things that, hey, I have this, I have this, I have this. Like being grateful for all the shows you do have. But that's so it's easier, definitely in a way, to make things relative, you know. Relative, is that how you in English also say it?
I think so.
Relevate?
Relativeren for all the Dutch people.
Exactly.
Yeah, that must be relaxing. Maybe I should have a kid.
Not that having a kid is is relaxing, far from it. But your mind just kind of changes. It's pretty cool.
Wild. Yeah. So I really still cannot imagine that in general.
No, I think I couldn't until I had a kid as well.
Right.
Because you just you can't know how it feels and stuff. You know, and now it's cool because now we're looking at a photo of me somewhere DJing.
You remember where this is?
No, I don't. But it's a long time ago. It's probably like 2015 or something.
Isn't it weird? Like from a stage, it like kind of all looks the same.
Yeah, a lot of times. Yeah, I don't know. Long T-shirt and those shoes. That must be 2014 or 15.
The 2014 DJ outfit.
Now it's. I think I was talking about my kid because that's what I think about now. Now when she wants to see Papa, and she wants to see me like footage from my show, she says, Papa, dance. So she sees me like in Vietnam, for example, like a show, and then she wants to constantly see that.
Crazy.
Yeah, really cool.
Really, really, really can't imagine.
No, that's something you can't. Yeah. Imagine.
I mean, that must be like the best feeling, though. Like
It's really tough, and I always say this, like it's some days you're like, oh, you can't handle it anymore, it's too much, and then you put it because it's just constantly crying, and you have to feed, and then you put it to bed, and then 10 minutes later you're on the couch, you miss her. You know, it's like it's so weird.
Crazy.
But it's the best thing ever.
Does it feel painful then leaving?
Like now she's getting to the age where she not notices I'm gone for longer, but sometimes cries when you leave because she notices I'm putting my shoes on, and then she just cries like any toddler. But it because I know I'm away for longer, it's kind of like sad, so but she I'm not away that much. I think that's a good. Like I had way more shows before COVID, like almost every weekend. Yeah. Not anymore. And on one hand, I'm like, oh, I wish I had more shows. But on the other hand, I'm super happy to be home a lot with my family. So then leaving once or twice a month is actually perfect. Yeah. A little escape.
Little escape.
Yeah.
Little escape.
Yeah. Every parent understands that probably. Like it sounds weird. Like, oh, I'm happy to leave my kid and wife at home for a few days, but it can be like a nice little break if it's not too long.
Of course. I mean, I guess it works with everything in life that way. Yeah. I think at the beginning of COVID, also we all felt like, oh, it's nice to chill for a little bit and have a little breather, and not being on the road again. Until it kept going on and for quite some time.
Oh, you miss being on the road, for sure. Yeah.
But I guess balance is key with all of that.
Yeah, for sure. But also, I would recommend you to enjoy everything without kids. And I always did. So I was very ready to have kids. And it is you give up some things, like some personal freedom.
Right.
And but it's all worth it. But just make sure that you notice. Do you know that, like if you ever want kids, of course. You never know.
I do at some point, I guess.
Yeah. And then I don't know if she's ever gonna be interested in DJing. That's what I'm curious about. If she's older and she sees videos from me, like at Tomorrowland, is she gonna be like, oh, that's what I want too? Or is she just like, yeah, okay, Dad, just pass me the butter. Like.
Well, I do think, just to get into that, I think it's cool now as well, like there's more women getting into DJing.
Yeah.
And also, like, of course, and I'm not bashing anyone, but like the whole Paris Hilton thing back in the days was maybe a bit cringe. Is that actually true? Like those photos where she's like pretending to be DJing and like the whole
engineer
thing
came up and
is not like it's like not connected. The whole DJ set. I think there's like this one meme where like the whole DJ set is not connected, but I'm not sure if that's real or it's like photoshopped.
Where some engineer comes on, her music drops on, and the engineer like pushes a button or something. That's what I remember, but something like that. That's not what you want. But then again, it's not per se that that's a woman doing that. That's the whole industry.
Yeah,
because we have way more entertainers now than DJs.
True.
It's way more of an entertainment. So, but yeah, it's very fun to have a diverse group of artists from, of course, woman, man, but also just the styles and all the different stuff. It's very interesting lineups, which I think is always very refreshing. And so
in general, I think it shouldn't matter, but
no, I think it doesn't really matter for the crowd, anyways. No. I think if people say that or write that, then they're probably writing that to write something, and they never visited a festival before. But yeah, for me, it's all about the music and the production. I think it can be really that can really like enhance your show, I guess, if it's like on point with the visuals and
for sure
everything. Then that can really do a lot. Because when you travel, do you have a VJ? Do you travel alone?
No, I usually have like a photographer with me, and that's it. Yeah. I
used to, in like 2018 and 19, sometimes travel with a VJ for big festivals. That's you see then footage after your show that's can really like enhance certain songs and certain. So that's that's kind of a goal of mine to, in a few years, tour with the big team of
sometimes now it's like I always like in advance tell like production guys, like, please only use like my visuals. Like there's a reason I have my own visuals. I spent a lot of money getting those visuals done. And then all of a sudden you see like a random thing with like a, I don't know, like a spider, like some weird video thing.
Or a sponsor video.
Or a sponsor video, or I don't know, whatever. And they're like, but like, we can't use the same visual the whole time. I'm like, dude, there's like, I don't know, there's 50 visuals in there. Trust me, there's plenty. No, but I have this cool one that I thought really fitted well into the show. And like,
usually it's because the VJ probably already mapped out the whole stage design.
Yeah, true.
And then they can do it, but it's a bit difficult.
True.
And my argument's also usually a long time ago, our agency sent already the visuals, so they could have mapped out.
True.
I had actually this in not too long. I won't say where because then the people know who I'm talking about. But I always have an intro that the visual artist starts, and I press play at a certain point, and then my intro syncs up like to the image. And I was like, hey, can we start that? You start that, and then they come up to me like, no, we have this other intro with different music, and like your logo, look, it looks like this. I'm like, yeah, but I want to do this intro, so I have my first track that plays in that intro, so I can start from there.
Yeah.
No, we play this one, and then you just you just come up and start playing, and then in the end you're like, okay, kind of like roll with it. They had sponsors in that video, horrible music under it. I was really like, this is like, why? Or this is not my intro. But that's the stuff you sometimes just kind of roll with, you know.
Yeah,
it's like,
I mean,
whatever.
it's part of not having a whole team. And like
exactly.
It's also fun. Like
it's
like
funny.
a fun experience.
Yeah. And like no one's really gonna care, you know, in the crowd.
True.
So it's not a Super Bowl halftime show or something like that. But then it also kept playing. So like it stopped, and then I started my music, and then they played it again. So it was like a mess. But yeah, then you as soon as you're done, started playing.
It really sounds classic. I've one time, I'm not sure where this was, but they kept on using this like cannabis leaf. You know, I mean, everyone's like, everyone knows what it looks like, and like they kept using this visual with like a cannabis leaf, and I'm like, bro, I'm not Bob Marley or something.
No. Yeah. It's kind of fun, I think, also being for me like in this kind of league. Like you're not playing the big headline shows, but you're also not doing the small shows, so you kind of know professionally what's required. But you get a lot of these kind of in between ones, or like, okay, we're gonna do that show. It's the first time we work with that promoter, and then it kind of can have stuff like this happen, which is really funny, you know, if you don't take it too seriously.
True. I mean, I guess like also like to keep you a bit grounded as well, and like people always think a lot of times, which I mean we obviously do ourselves because you only post like all the good stuff and like all the sick shows. But yeah, there's also like for every one show that's like that crazy level, there's probably 10 that are like that. Which are still fun. Like the crowd could be great, but like the whole production and everything is still a bit whatever. But yeah, it's I guess nowadays people only see like the very polished like shows.
For sure. Yeah, and it you have it with some artists who have one massive hit, and I'm not gonna name names, but I've seen this where a DJ who isn't that experienced has a huge hit, but you can then you hear it like in the industry. You hear people talking about, oh, that DJ like doesn't play a good set, and then you kind of see them go away, even though they have a big hit, and they get less and less booked. And I think that's always kind of it's kind of funny because people see one bit of a show where that hit blows up, but what about this? Like an hour is long.
True.
If you're used to a 15
in
second
that sense,
video.
like DJing is like a thing on its own as well. Like being able to keep a crowd entertained for like an hour or 2 hours.
It's long if it's not if the crowd's not on your hand. It's a long hour. And there's also a difference. Like some big DJs as well. It's kind of what kind of person you are thing. Sometimes if I have a crowd that is very hard to please, I look to myself. I'm like, oh, what am I doing wrong? But there are also DJs that. And even like way back that just said like, this crowd sucks. Like is it, I don't know if it's arrogance or just being confident in themselves or a combination.
Bit of both probably.
But it's always funny to me that I would never think this crowd sucks. Now I would always think, oh, maybe I suck, you know. But it's I guess that's my
and also just like being confident enough as well, I feel like to just then step away from your usual set and just play more like weird or like out of your style kind of stuff. Yeah. Because in the end, you're there to please a crowd.
Yeah, for sure.
And you can like keep like doing your own thing, but in the end, like you're there to make people have a good night.
To entertain the crowd.
To entertain the crowd.
Yeah.
And just entertain the crowd.
I once had this very awkward situation in China where a big DJ, like one of the legend DJs, in my opinion, played before me in the club. And then they came up, like the crew came up from the club, asked me, can he play longer, like half an hour longer? I'm like, yeah, sure. It's like, it's that guy. Like,
Yeah.
I respect him a lot. And then like 10 minutes later, they come back. I'm like, no, the club owners want you to go on now because this guy, and he plays like, more credible. He doesn't really play that commercial. And they were like, no, he's really, the crowd wants EDM. They want you. And then I went downstairs, and he already like his last song was playing, and I just met him briefly, and he was like, yeah, the last song is already playing. So basically like a bit pissed off that he got kicked off. And I was sad because he thought maybe it was me that told him to stop, but it wasn't me. But then I also thought like, yeah, but you can be very credible, but you're there to entertain that crowd. So
true.
Yes, you have a certain. I mean, I'm not gonna. Well, I did for a joke sometimes play Barbie Girl, for example. But there's certain limits. I can see how he would not play Barbie Girl to entertain, but I would do it as a joke. But there are certain limits, but you still have to bend them a little bit sometimes to get. Like sometimes you get a request from a club owner. You can't really refuse that, even though it's like a really weird old track. Like he's like, okay, I'll play it. I'll make it work. But that's you have to be a certain level of humble, I think.
Yeah, same. And I think it's also just fun to like mess around and like
for sure. Yeah.
Not always take it too seriously.
No, never take it seriously at all.
I think that's a great note to end it on.
For
Don't
sure.
take things too seriously and just have fun.
Very important, and be grateful for what you get, even if it's a small little gig.
Exactly.
Can be just as fun.
Thank you guys for tuning in once again.
Timing.
We have to end apparently. The TV is turning off. But thank you for tuning in again, and see you guys very, very soon. And thank you for being on here.
Thanks for having me.